I conquered my old friend insomnia last night, and even 6 to 7 hours of sleep feels incredible. So I'm gonna take this as a massive W. So I've warmed up and I'm ready to begin my workout with some heavy dumbbell shoulder press, which I do for only a set of 4, just so I can prime my CNS and get ready for the lighter weights ahead. And I open with 35 kilos for a grindy set of 4. And my old pal Harry comes along to help me crank out a couple of extra reps without my consent. I didn't ask him to come and spot me, but he did it anyway, which I'm grateful for because it's just extra stimulus, isn't it? So the set is done, and you know me, I love to superset. And in this occasion, I've chosen the pull-down machine, which feels just ridiculous. This is the one-armed version because you can lean your torso and jam yourself in with your other arm to get a feeling in your lats that is just unreal. The stretch you get makes it feel like your lat is tearing off the bone. And honestly, this is becoming my new favorite back exercise. Of course, I have a soft spot for the weighted pull-up, but this exercise just feels unreal. And now we're back to the lighter set, just like I promised. I've dropped the weight significantly, from 35 kilos to a measly and pathetic 22.5. And with this form that I'm using, my scaps are flared as though I'm doing a lat spread. And let me tell you, when you switch up your technique to use this type of form, it feels disgusting, especially on your middle delts. And obviously you cut the weight down massively, just like I proved by lifting some heavy weights with some not so pristine technique at the start. Anyway, we're back with another set of the pull down, and I do promise that I do train both of my arms. I just didn't want to include the footage of me going back and forth with both arms because, quite frankly, it's so boring. And I tried to switch it up a little this time, get it from a different angle, make it more cinematic maybe, and it just looks garbage. But I do hope this angle at least shows just how I'm leaning away from the line of resistance to really stretch out my lat. So normally I like to do 2 sets per exercise no matter what, but in this occasion I'm sort of doing 3 sets. But the first one was just to prime my CNS by lifting some heavy weights. This volume that I'm doing with the nerd form is the volume that actually counts, because let's be honest, it just provides a better stimulus to the muscle. Yeah, I feel cool lifting weights that I can only do for 4 reps, but it's just not gonna be that effective for stimulating my shoulders as much as they can be. So here we have it, one final set of the lat pull downs. And yet again, I've switched up the angle and I've popped off my top because it's getting kind of hot. The beautiful thing about this exercise is just how stable it is. There is literally nothing that can work apart from your muscles. Obviously, you can still mess up the form. You can include a bit of cheating, a bit of momentum, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But the set is almost over, so I force myself to squeeze out a few more painful reps by using my other hand as assistance. And that's done for the compound exercises. This day is mainly focused on arms and shoulders. And so my next giant set opens with the hammer curl, which is not a useless exercise. Yes, I'm looking at you, Dr. Mike. You just have garbage brachioradialis and, you know, you don't have very impressive biceps for someone who's on that much drugs. So I shall take your advice with a bucket of salt and just crank out the hammer curls, because I really want that brachialis to be as developed as my bicep. Without any rest, it's time for exercise 2 in the giant set, which is tricep engorgement. Man, I love how this exercise feels, and I love how I look while doing it. And it's right next to where I did my hammer curls for a very, very clear reason. You see, I don't like having my giant set interrupted. So I put my equipment right next to each other whenever I get the chance, so that I can just hop from one thing to the next. And woe betide any gym goer who's cheeky enough to try and take my spot. I'll foam at the mouth and bark at them like a rabid dog, and they leave me alone. It's a flawless strategy. Last exercise of the giant set is gonna be the rear delt flies. And boy, do I need these, because my rear delt is really starting to lag behind. Couple years ago, firstly, when I realized that they were lagging behind, I took decisive action and started to train them 3 times a week. Lo and behold, they grew. They caught up and gave my shoulder that really round and bulbous 3D appearance, and I was very happy and all was good. Unfortunately, between now and then, I've grown a lot of the other parts of my body, but not quite my rear delts. So it's time to sculpt out my weakest body parts, like so. I choose this exercise in particular because it allows me to get a very naughty stretch and move my arm in the path that the rear delts like to be moved. You see, if you look at how the fibers run, it's not directly horizontal. It's more at like a 45-degree angle. And so training it in such a manner is optimal. Another reason I love this variation is it allows you to put the cuff right next to your elbow so that you can lower the amount of space between your mover and the actual muscle. And as you can see, I can crank out just a few extra reps using my other arm for assistance and then do some partials. Let me tell you, this absolutely fried my rear delts. So that was the first giant set completed, and I do 2 sets, which I didn't film because I didn't want it to get too boring. I know your attention span is absolutely fried, so I'm just moving on to the last giant set of the day, which is starting with some cable curls. The classic, the boring, nothing special about them. Yeah, they have a nice strength curve. Yeah, it feels really smooth. Yeah, it's very, very safe and easy on recovery. Plus, you can grind really hard on them. But at the end of the day, an exercise is just an exercise. It's all about how you freaking use it. And with this, it's always best to do after your free weights. So, very simply, to continue the giant set, all I have to do is lower the cable, flip myself around, and do some overhead tricep extensions, which complement the push downs beautifully. Both work the triceps in slightly different ways, with the push down being more squeeze focused, giving you a better contraction, while this being just a lot nastier of a stretch. And with this exercise, it's very quick to hit failure and you just can't do any more reps, as you can see here. Obviously, you can, use a bit of body English, use a bit of leg drive to hoist the weight up. But even then, you fail very quickly. And to finish off the workout, I do some lateral raises. And you might be thinking, what the hell are you doing, Matt? Those aren't lateral raises. Those are basically shrugs. And you sort of have a point, because I've grabbed some heavy dumbbells and I'm just doing some partials at the bottom. And it's actually for a very good reason, because it overloads the stretch and it pre-exhausts my delts, so that when I do grab some lighter dumbbells, like I'm doing so, it immediately feels a lot more stimulating, as they've already been destroyed in the lengthened position. And this set might look a bit ADHD, it might look like I'm just fidgeting around, and that's simply because I'm trying to locate the spot with the best lighting, which I failed because I think the first lighting was the best at the start of the video. But anyway, that's it. I only filmed one round of the giant set, but I did another, and the workout is over. Now it's time to do some really naughty flexing in the changing rooms and make my past self feel mogged. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you tomorrow.